Hey, yeah, back in my car in Arcata, looking over the marsh. It's a bit of an overcast day, but a good day for reviewing and reading comics. So today we're going to talk about Event Leviathan, which came out this week, and Superman Event Leviathan Rising, which I meant to talk about before, but couldn't find a copy. I had sold out at my local store before I had a chance to get a copy. So I went to my backup store. Yeah, I'm lucky enough to have two stores that carry a good selection of comics here in the Eureka area. Scruffy Nerd Herder and North Coast Role Playing, NCRP. So I picked up a copy of Leviathan Rising, finally, to read it. Now this is an oversized giant issue. It's $10. That's a lot for a comic, right? I mean, even a double-sized comic costs $3.99 now, but this is thick. It's like sort of a prestige format with a spine, very beautiful glossy cover, and but it's also kind of an anthology. So there's 3 different stories, one by Bendis and Packett for the Superman part. Then there's Matt Fraction on Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen, and Greg Rucka working on the new Lois Lane book that's coming out. Now, I've been reading Superman in action, so I felt obligated to buy this. And indeed, there is a key piece of like Leviathan intro going on here. I feel like putting it all together in a giant $9.99 package is a bit of a cash grab, but you know, what the heck? I picked it up and I liked it. You know, it's no secret I've been enjoying the Bendis comics, the Bendis Superman run. And one of the reasons I've enjoyed it the most is this character, Leone. Ms. Leone she's the head of a crime syndicate, the crime syndicate in Metropolis. And she's so good, her organization is so good and so disciplined at what they do that Superman does not really even know that she exists, despite the fact that she just bought the Daily Planet in recent issues. That's how successful they've been operating a crime syndicate right under the nose of the world's most powerful superhero. And how they do that, one of the things that they do is they are ultra disciplined. They never say the word Superman. They never say the word kryptonite. They never say the word Lois Lane. They never say any word that they think Superman might be able to just hear, right? Superman is like the surveillance state because he can pretty much hear anybody saying his name anywhere, at least in the city, maybe beyond. So they have this sort of rigorous discipline where their job is not, they don't want to destroy Superman. They don't want to kill Superman. They don't want to fight Superman, really. They just want Superman to not even know they exist and ignore them. And when Leone is approached by Leviathan, the new master criminal who's been destroying all of this, the sort of secret spy organizations in the DC universe, he's got this face-changing technology, so you see his face is kind of pixelated and keeps changing from panel to panel. This is because we don't know who this character is. Now, we've been told by Bendis that it is an existing character. We just don't know who, right? But basically, Leone gives him one really important piece of advice, right? And that, you know, with Superman, unlike everyone else he comes in contact with, I don't need his attention. I'm telling you, with him, everyone is desperate to make sure he knows it was them that set the trap, that did the thing. Don't be that guy. Right? And Leviathan basically confirms he's not that guy, or she is not that person, right? They're not looking to get into conflict with Superman or the alien, as he's referred to. They want, they plan, something in their plan tells them that when this is all said and done, the superheroes are going to stand up and applaud and join them. So I think there's a real possibility that the character of Leviathan is an existing superhero, perhaps somebody we know. It's been confirmed by Bendis that it is an existing character. So the whole point of the Event Leviathan miniseries is to figure out who that might be. Now, in this Superman Leviathan Rising issue, we get some interesting stuff. I think the Leone stuff was the most important to me. The rest is a interesting kind of idea that they've decided that to go after Superman, going after Lois Lane is a bad idea because she's so well connected and such a great, powerful reporter and has so much juice, basically, that would be stupid. But it makes way more sense to go after Clark Kent, I guess, who doesn't have that kind of journalistic reputation, but is married to Lois Lane and is pretty heavily involved with Superman, so it's kind of a weird decision. But anyway, the story centers around the fact that Clark decides that he wants to let them try. Like, why not? If they want to kidnap Clark Kent, let's see why they want to do that, and figure out try and figure out what's going on from there. After all, he's Superman. Nothing can hurt him, right? And Lois just gives him one piece of advice. It says, look, when you're acting, sometimes it looks like you're acting, right? You're not a good actor. Try to be in the moment. It's because the reason behind this is that acting is lying, and Superman is not a liar, so he's a pretty terrible actor. I love this. I love that Superman has weaknesses, right? Like, his weaknesses are not in his powers because he's godlike, but his weaknesses are as a human, as a person. He has character flaws, and I enjoy that characterization. So we get to see Superman get attacked and kidnapped and really like hamming it up and overreacting when they tase him. And they're like, what's he doing? Like, kind of weird. So anyway, he's tased and they've got him in a room. But before he can really figure out what's going on, they slip a kryptonite vest on him. Right? And the idea is that they're going to try and lure out Superman. They don't know he is Superman. Talia has suspicions that maybe she's Superman's brother or related to Superman, but even though he's sitting right in front of them, they just don't recognize him as Superman. To me, that's reasonable, I guess, but what's a little weird is that you could sneak up on Superman with kryptonite. I just don't feel like you could. I don't feel like you could get kryptonite anywhere near him without it maybe being in lead. Without him being able to detect it, right? He's Superman. Oh, well. That's the conceit anyway. And I'm not going to give away this story other than to say, like, obviously, Superman gets away. What we do learn is that, Lois smokes cigarettes. How mature. I really like what they're doing with Lois Lane's character, right? Bendis has decided that really Superman's not going to be the star in Event Leviathan from the Superman books. It's really Lois. Lois is considered one of the best detectives in the DCU. And so here, she has called in the Justice League to say, look, something's wrong. Clark had a plan, but something went wrong, and I need your help. This is when we cut into the Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen story by Matt Fraction. Now, I love Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen. I love the original comic. This one, it's got its moments. It's trying to be comedic. It ties in directly with the story. I thought the artwork was serviceable and okay, and the story was a little boring. Not sure I'm going to really be into the new Jimmy Olsen series. I'll probably give it a chance. The rest of the book involves Supergirl and Greg Rucka's run there, and sort of how she gets involved in Event Leviathan, and then eventually circles back to our main story with our crime boss Leone, who is killing her security team for letting Leviathan get that close to her, killing her with who's now become her new partner, Robinson Goode, who is actually a reporter at the Daily Planet and secretly a supervillain named the Red Cloud, who seems fairly powerful enough that we've seen her actually fight Superman to a standstill in the past. They don't want to attract his attention and ire, so, but they know that they sort of have the ability to check Superman, at least to stop him if they needed to. I love this. I like this character. I like that there's intrigue. I like she's working at the Daily Planet. It seems a little unusual Superman wouldn't be able to detect her, but her powers are such that we'll give that the benefit of the doubt. I love that Leone has been in this sort of comic book Superman museum the whole time, and you'll see things that you'd recognize, like the car from Action Comics #1. Nice little Easter eggs thrown into the back here. And basically this book ends with sort of a promotion of Red Cloud to be a partner of Leone, which could just be a move on her part to sort of set her up for a fall, but we'll see. I'm not going to show everything from this issue, but I did enjoy it, and it made me excited to read Event Leviathan #1. So let's move directly into that, right? This is a 6-issue miniseries, right? And Bendis has pitched this as a thriller, right? It's a 6-issue mystery thriller, rated T, whatever that means. And as you can see, there's redacted stuff right on the cover. I'm wondering what that stuff is, like what the stuff with the lines crossed out mean, and that if they'll get revealed as we understand more about the story. The basics here is this is going to be a detective story, so it's going to focus on the greatest detectives of the DCU. And here we see what are considered to be, I guess, 3 of the greatest detectives. Of course, Batman, Green Arrow, and The Question, who plays, so far, a pretty small role, but looks like is going to be involved in bigger things going forward. So this is Bendis reteaming with Alex Maleev, who's really a great artist, really a good choice for sort of a noir-ish, detective-y kind of thriller that this is, right? His art style plays very well with those ideas. The color palette is dark and moody, and the story is good. It's slow. It's right because the action has already happened. The idea here is that the event of Event Leviathan was Leviathan basically swooped in and destroyed all of the like intelligence agencies in the DC universe, of which there were way too many. And here we see now the great detectives of the DCU are getting together and trying to figure out what the heck happened, right? Who took out Cobra, Task Force X, Argus, and Spiral like they were nothing, right? These are groups that have been around in the DCU for a long time. Some have sort of overlapping and competing purposes, and the DEO, as well, Department of Extranormal Operations. All of these groups sort of had overlapping purposes, somewhat overlapping purposes in the DCU. And while this was an editorial chance to like clean house on that, it also presents this sort of story concept. And Leviathan was a group that was run by Talia al Ghul, last we knew, but it really seems like she's sort of lost control of that, and our heroes have realized that she's probably not in control here. What's great about about Bendis, is he really loves these sort of like secondary and tertiary characters a lot. Things like Steve Trevor. Steve Trevor has a major piece to play in this, right? He worked for Argus, who kind of lets Batman. Batman's like, wait, man, how come you're invisible to my radar detector? And he's like, well, Batman, look, every time you invent some new toy or piece of tech to put on your belt, Argus, makes a counter thingy, just in case. So basically, these intelligence groups are watching the superheroes and villains and like being prepared for them to go bad. I think that's a pretty cool idea and probably pretty makes sense if there were these sort of extra human, extra normal type people. The government would definitely want to have plans and protocols for dealing with them. Now, whether those would work or not, that's a different thing. We're going to look around the DCU. We go to places like Coast City. DC has all these sort of fictional cities that they use in place of real life cities like Marvel likes to use. DC has these fictional ones. So anyway, at Coast City, we're getting a flashback to how Argus was destroyed. Event Leviathan showed up and for some reason decided to spare Steve Trevor. And this is a flashback, so we don't know. This is what he's recounting. He says, look, the place blew up. I got put in a force field. Everybody died, right? And then he says, I realize that, who did this? I don't know who did this. It wasn't the Joker. Was it Lex Luthor? Was it Talia? Was it the Fourth World? What's going on? And he realizes that because he survived, he's probably a suspect, right? Why else would he be the only one to live through this? So the idea is they're trying to sell that there's a lot of paranoia. Nobody knows who the heck this Leviathan is. He's done a lot of damage. He or she has done a lot of damage very quickly, and we don't know, right? And that the way it was done so quickly makes it natural for those who are left in the wake of the damage to sort of doubt each other. And that just gives Leviathan more time to further his plans. I think it's an interesting concept. I don't know that they would automatically get to the point where Steve Trevor is going to fire shots at Lois Lane because he thinks she might be Leviathan. And that's when Green Arrow steps in. We see taser arrows and gimmick arrows and stuff. I really like their take on Green Arrow. I like his compound bow. Sort of a more modern style, and I like the interaction between Lois Lane and the rest of the detectives. Sort of, she views herself on equal footing with these great detectives of the DCU. She's the ultimate investigative reporter of the DC universe, and so that gives her juice. And the other heroes seem to respect her, right? So they're trying to figure out what's going on. We see the Question lurking in the background, but we haven't seen much from him. All right, and we end with a shot of the mysterious Leviathan. Who is it? We really don't know yet. This is a classic Bendis type comic, right? Bendis, I've said it before, he writes middles. He doesn't write really beginning, middle, ending, sort of classic story structure all the time. He dumps us in the middle, sort of like a messy real life, and lets people figure out what's going on, much as they would in real life. It can be confusing. It's not standard and traditional. Stuff plays out through dialogue that is more sort of grounded in realistic speech patterns, so they're not always perfect and clean, but they're fun to read, right? I'm in for Event Leviathan. I'm cautiously optimistic. The art team is good. Bendis has the chops and the track record that I'm going to trust where this is going. If the payoff is good, then I think this will end up being a really popular series and could chart sort of the course of the DCU for the next at least year or couple of years, as the fallout from this event of as they say, the tent poles of the intelligence community have collapsed in the DC universe. And now we get a chance to see what the great detectives in the DCU can do. Who is this new villain? Is it a lapsed hero? Is it an existing villain? I'm excited to find out. So let's do it. Let's look at it. Hey, pick this book up if you can find it. I think you can. You might have trouble finding the Superman Leviathan Rising special, but you could probably skip it. You could probably jump right into Event Leviathan. Granted, it's all been set up over in Action Comics over the past several months, but I think it's okay to jump in at this point. And I'm, based on the reputation of Bendis and the creative teams, I'm giving it a chance. If this pays off well, I'm excited. If it doesn't, I may lose a little bit of my love and luster for Bendis books. But let's give it a chance. So, hey, thanks for watching this. If you like this video, you might like some of my other videos. So give them a try. Check them out. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And ring that bell if you want notifications when I drop new videos. Thank you for watching.